Hold on, I'm about to call him right quick.
All right. We should be live.
Oh, it won't let me call him while I'm on.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm about to call him right quick.
All right.
Hold on, I'm about to call him
We
right quick.
should be live. All right.
Oh, it won't let me call
We
him while
should be
I'm
live.
on. Oh, it won't let me call him while I'm on.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm about to call.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm about to call him right quick. Is he on?
No, I haven't seen him yet.
I'm gonna leave and come right back.
Okay. We live. How y'all doing? Good evening. I'm waiting on them to come in, man. We're gonna get this thing started. You back with me? Y'all hold tight, man. We just waiting on the guests. Wait for everybody to come on in. What up, Facebook? What up, YouTube? We got a chat room going on over here. What happened? Yo.
Hey, what up?
What up? Y'all ready?
Yeah, he should be on there.
Yeah, I see him.
Okay.
What up, City? What up, City? What up, homie? How you feeling?
Man, I can't call it.
All right, man. I want to welcome both of y'all to the experience. This been probably one of my most anticipated weeks. You know what I'm saying? I've been dying to talk to y'all. You know, I know y'all out on the front line and y'all doing y'all thing. So, you know, I want to welcome y'all to the experience. And I want to take the time to go around and just let y'all introduce yourself. I want to start with you, Shar. So I'll let you introduce yourself and we'll get straight to it.
Like you said, I go by the name Char Bates, also known as Malcolm Luther Queen. I am a community advocate that does activism work. Most recently, we went down to Brunswick and We patrolled Ahmaud Arbery's neighborhood with the Black Panthers. Went crazy, made world news. This week, we shut downtown down with my brother City. We was able to help some college kids not be trapped by the National Guard and the police. And we were able to unite two totally different protests. I've also been featured on BET's Copwatch America show. But by trade, I'm a radio and TV host.
Okay.
But I'm out here on the front line. So I appreciate you for having me because this was what it's all about. You know, hip hop and activism meets, which equals My Vote is Hip Hop, which is my organization. So appreciate y'all for having me. I go by the name Shabik.
All right. City.
What up? What up? First and foremost, man, I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. A lot of people know me as City. I've been working hand in hand with my sis Sharp Bates over there. Like she said, we've been down to Brunswick. We went to Minneapolis. We actually just got back from Minneapolis. A whole different type of environment out there. Just got back to Atlanta. Fresh out the box.
Right.
But it's dope, man. You know, being an activist is something that I think we truly are passionate about, that we actually got pretty much put into outside of other things that we do, like, you know, journalism, radio, and other things like what Shar does as well. And it kind of just sucked us in. But I'm definitely activist, entrepreneur, businessman, radio station, car wash, you name it, I do it. And at the same time, fight for my people.
Did he just go off, or what does that mean?
Can you hear me?
No, I'm here.
Yo, can y'all?
I'm here.
Okay, so yeah, I know y'all just got out. I know y'all just came back from Minnesota. So tell me, like, you know, what was the atmosphere there? Tell me what was the temperature there in Minnesota?
All right, so Minneapolis, man, is a whole different beast. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Minneapolis is a whole different beast.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, those folks out there, man, they have a whole different type of energy. Of course, like any other thing that's going on, there's a lot of outsiders that are inside, but the support within the community, the energy from the young folk, the energy from the community, hey, I don't see them letting up until they get exactly what they want, and they want justice. As you can see, the more pressure that's being applied, things are starting to change. Like they've upped their charges to second degree. All the officers have been charged. We still want a first degree charge, but as you see, when you apply that pressure, it's starting to be effective. And if you think about it, you can go back when MLK, when he was assassinated, it was $42 million worth of damage after he was assassinated. And then they came around with the Civil Rights Act. So like I said, they're applying pressure, and, you know, some people understand it, some people don't, but you can't tell them about it how they can. They can't let their emotions out of how they deal with their pain and frustration, especially when they've been backed into a corner for so long.
So a lot of the backlash I know that I was hearing, and even I kind of, you know, I spoke on it myself. I didn't really see the need for, you know, the burning and the looting. Like, what was your views on the burning and the looting? Like, do you think it was beneficial? Do you think it got us to the point to where now we, you know, now we got four cops that's been indicted. So do you think that the looting and the burning and those type of things, those type of tactics that was done got us to the point of where we at now?
I'm gonna hit you with a catch-22 in a response. I don't think nobody condones looting, but how can you compare a valuable, replaceable, materialistic item to the life of unarmed individuals, black, brown, or whoever? I just wish the same amount of attention that looting gets, that these individuals, whether it be a son, a father, a sister, a daughter, an uncle, an aunt, mom, a dad, would get. You know, they focus so much on, oh, they're looting, oh, they broke a window. What was this attention when Mike Brown was on the ground? What was this attention when Ahmaud Arbery was gunned down? What was this attention when Jimmy Atchison was murdered? When was this attention when all the other names that are still seeking justice? We got Nick Thomas, like the list goes on. I understand the general space of the head of when they're thinking of looting, but just take that same energy, and if people gave a damn, I don't think half of the stuff that's going, like right now, all the political people that are in power could have been ended all of this. This could have stopped years ago. But now we are here at 2020, when Mike Brown died in 2014, 15?
Right. I mean, we've been had a lot of deaths over the last just the last 6 years.
Exactly.
So let me ask you
But
this.
nobody had nothing to say about those. People were not speaking up. You got people that's speaking up about looting and rioting that has never made a mention of police brutality. And also, I think that it's important for people to do their research and look at the fact that, it's agendas, just like it has always been, for us to look a certain way. It's people that have the government and, other people that support these agendas have dropped pallets of bricks all over the United States in inner cities. Not only that, so they're encouraging people, but we've seen and captured and caught several police officers, Antifa's, white supremacists, the whole nine gang, looting and rioting and setting things on fire. Even aside from that, we have also, seen the media sending out very disparaging images and reports versus the actual facts. So the point is that how can you get mad at the people's response, but not feel like you should be outraged by the reason how they got there? Tupac said a long time ago, it's like black people standing outside and we hungry and we watching all these people inside eating feast, and it's gonna go from, hey, can I have some food, to yo, we hungry, to yo, can I please have some food? Like, yo, come on, can I have some food? To yo, I'm knocking in your door. So it's like the fact that people are actually criticizing, even if it was some black looters and rioters, and they did that in frustration, you telling me that that's worse than them killing and lynching us continuously up until 2020?
Right.
No, it doesn't justify that.
Okay,
and it shows how out of touch people are.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: why did it take us to get the? Why George Floyd? Why did the boiling point get to George Floyd?
Think of it like this: if you get a car, right? Say you get a car, and realistically, you're supposed to change your your oil every 3,000 miles, and
right.
But you can actually push it a little bit further, right? But if you keep pushing that car without changing the oil, what happens to the engine?
The engine blows.
So they've been pushing this car for so many miles without changing the oil. Now the engine is blue.
So, but I'm just curious about the outrage, because now I see the outrage. Now it's kind of a world. It's kind of it is worldwide. But I'm just curious about the outrage. When I first got involved with you two, I met you guys. We was all doing a panel over on Covenant Highway about police brutality. Then I had the opportunity to sit in with you guys and with Pastor Jamal Bryant and Derek Grace. And I think one of the mothers up there, even from here, her son had got shot like maybe 76 times.
Yeah.
Something like that in a police altercation in Atlanta. And I'm just wondering, like, why not the outrage then? Why the outrage so now?
So it goes multiple ways, right? We can't hear you, Shar.
Shar, you got to unmute your mic.
Can't hear you. Why she get her mic together?
She unmuted. I don't know why I can't hear.
All right, real quick. We can't hear you, Shar. So I'm going to speak on why I think. Number one, especially in Atlanta, you got to understand something. Our politicians control the media here in Atlanta. Like, they truly control the media. What our politicians want to play on our mainstream media, that's what they're going to play. The fact that half of the people in Atlanta don't know about these cases. Like, when I was out on the streets on Monday with my sis, we had the whole crowd, and I started saying names, and people didn't even know these names existed. And these are people out there right now fighting for a cause. It's just a thing that our mayor does. It's a thing that our DA does. It's a thing that a lot of people in the political mainstream era in our state, in our city, they control what the media is played. Prime example. Notice they don't even talk about the Ahmaud Arbery case on the TV no more here.
Right.
They're not telling the whole world that it's, granted, George Floyd, but like everybody's like right now, every newscaster, every media should be talking about every single name. Prime example, BET should be running Copwatch America over and over and over right now. We laid the blueprint on how to work through this. But the media.
Right.
So now it's individuals like yourself, like Shar, myself, and other Black media companies that control the narrative so these cases don't go wayside.
Okay. Can I tell y'all something that we found out today, y'all? This is breaking news. X, you just talked, can y'all hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
You just talked about Monteria Robinson's son, Jamarion Robinson, who was shot 76 times, right? Y'all know how those two kids was pulled from that car?
Right.
How about one of the officers that was fired and charged is one of the same officers that killed Jamarion Robinson and shot him 76 times? But see, we don't have any accountability right now, and we don't have it. They're not enforcing the policies for these officers to be taken off the force or reprimanded so it doesn't happen again. So you got people out here, Black media out here talking about what they did to them officers is wrong, and they gave 22 years of service. Well, it depends on the outlook that you look at it. Because while one person is looking at it like, oh, they gave 22 years of service of their life, the other side, we're looking at it as, you've been out here terrorizing people for 22 years.
X.
The fact that they snatched them up out of that car and broke them windows and bust them tires over breaking curfew, just imagine if they actually committed a crime. And these people have been on the force 18 and 22 years. We only know about Jamarion Robinson, but we don't have video. We only know about these kids because we have video. But think about how many cases in 22 years that we don't know about.
Okay, well let me say this because like when you look at it from the outside looking in, it looked like it's white police brutality opposed to it just being police brutality. You know what I'm saying? So
that's not true.
Nope.
That's why I say like
a lot of Black officers.
The Black officers are worse than the white officers.
I didn't grow up with racist white police officers in Flint, Michigan. I grew up with unethical Black officers. The first time I seen police brutality, I was 17 years old and a senior in high school when I seen an officer chase a mentally ill man around a pine tree with his squad car and beat him over the head to the white meat with his handcuffs. I was the one that had to speak with his mother. That was a Black cop. Same city. I used to watch my sister's youngest child's baby daddy get raised all the time because he was screwing his wife. I had to watch him put cocaine in clippers because they was raiding him at least once every 2 weeks. So no, it's absolutely not just a white cop thing because one of them Black officers will snatch your ass up. Police officers like having power and like abusing the power that they should have never been given the right to be able to have.
So how we get into the narrative of a race war if it's about just police brutality?
That's propaganda, and it's been a race war.
Right. I mean, we've been in a police state, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, if it's about if the narrative is supposed to be about police brutality, how we get to the point of it's a race war? That's why I asked you: is it about white brutality toward Black people, or is it just about Black brutality? I mean, just police brutality.
Well, here's the thing, though. Let's rewind something. I'm not saying white people don't die at the arms of the law. You know the difference between when a white person dies from police and a Black person dies from the police?
Right.
The Black man is unarmed. Right? So,
right.
So it's not about whether it's a Black cop or a white cop. It's just that, I had a conversation with somebody earlier. when you're a black man, when you're 6'5", when you're 6'2", when you're 5'11", right? And you have broad shoulders, you know, how an average black man is built, that's a threat. You feel me? But when you're 6'5" with a basketball in your hand, making somebody millions of dollars, you're a good old boy. When you're 6'2" with a shoulder pads and a helmet on, you're a good boy. But when you're just a black man being pulled over, your life is at stake. Or the minute you walk out your door, you're at a battlefield.
No doubt.
And that goes against that statement when everybody say all lives matter. We never said lives don't matter, but you're not dying for the complexion of who you are. We are. So it's more so, it's not even, it's a blue against black situation. And that blue is the badge.
And if I may add to that, it's been a race war, but we haven't been running. It's deeper than police brutality because it's not. People aren't angry. It's not black against white of a war. It's government against people of color as a war. And it's systematic racism because we can't just stop at police brutality because it doesn't just, we're not just mad at police brutality. We're mad at the fact that Derek Chauvin had to be blasted all over the world for days for him to be charged. We're mad that we had to campaign. We're mad that George and Travis were able to walk away from the scene of Ahmaud Arbery with blood on their hands. We're mad that it would not have been any charges against any officer in Minneapolis had we not been tearing these streets up. We're mad that 3 prosecutors in the Ahmaud Arbery case were able to pass it on. We're mad that an officer that killed Botham Jean in Texas will only get 10 years and can walk away in 5 when the Muslim officer in Minneapolis killed that white woman and he got 12 and a half years and that family got $20 million within a month. And around the same time, they killed an unarmed black man in a car and they gave his kids $1 each for the funeral. That's why we're mad. It doesn't stop with the police. It's the judges. It's the Constitution. We're not even a human in the Constitution. We don't have any rights. We out here talking about we need to vote, which I do think that we need to hit them from every head, but we still don't have any rights. It does not stop with the police. And speaking of, because I'm in a bit of a fuck voting mode, but I'm in a mode of get Kemp and these racist judges and Trump ass out of there. So to all my people that feel the way that I feel about fuck voting, we have to do as much as we can to get as much as possible done. Even if that's not your thing, we have to hit this head from all standpoints. We've been complaining for a whole year we've been complaining for years about Paul Howard and allowing these cases to sit on his desk. I just sat down with the judge that's running against Paul Howard. Now, that election is on Tuesday. We're not talking about that. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be honest, y'all. I'm not nearly as concerned with the presidential election as I'm concerned with the DAs, the judges, the prosecutors, and the people that's supposed to uphold the laws around us.
Well, Paul Howard's he's been the DA for a long time in Fulton. Why is it so imperative we get him out of office?
Well, we got to know something.
Go ahead.
We got to know something. Here's where it gets tricky. So, one of the people that's running against Paul Howard is a female, right? I had a few conference calls today from some individuals who work hand in hand with this woman. She's worse than Paul Howard. Like, worse.
She's been in the news. She's been blasting Paul Howard for his sexual conduct. And, I think a lot of people are leaning toward her way.
Yeah, that's really bad.
I ain't gonna lie, not if y'all meet this dude Christian. I just said that.
Now, Christian is really good.
I ain't tell Christian I liked him, y'all, but I kind of like Christian, and Christian is already invited the Jimmy Atchison family out. I made him promise us in front of Ti and Portia and Queen Azai and a whole bunch of the activism community. I told his ass straight to his face, "You saying that you're gonna prosecute these people for these police brutality cases? If you don't, I'm gonna drag your ass."
I'm gonna
I
tell you
told
right
him I
now,
trusted
as
in
a
you.
DA, for a DA, that is our best bet.
Listen, y'all, he a black dude. He like 6'3". He got tattoos all on his arms. He got tattoos on his forearms. He told us that he said, "I'm not your normal candidate. What candidate have you ever seen able to hold up their arms and show tattoos?" He said, my youngest memory was of my mother being arrested at 5. And then he said my mother was arrested throughout my whole life growing up. She lost custody when I was 16. He said he seen his best friend has brains blown out. He said that, he wanted to make a change because he's never seen a DA that, is out at the schools and talking to the kids. So, I mean, so far so good. Honestly, right now, we need anybody but Paul Howard ass in there. And if y'all saying that that other candidate was in there waiting to talk to us too, but I didn't get a chance to talk to her. But I'm gonna be honest, we're leaning towards Christian. We plan on doing some campaigning for Christian. But this election is on Tuesday, so we need as much help as possible. But this is a big beast. And what's going on with police brutality right now, I think that people need to think about the fact that however you're responding right now is exactly how you would have been responding during the civil rights movement, because this is the new civil rights movement. If you are criticizing people for being out there protesting peacefully, then you would have hated Martin while he was alive. If you are talking shit about them fucking shit up out here in the name of justice, then you would have been against Malcolm. So y'all need to pick a side.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I know a lot of it is, and this is just being honest, a lot of people don't know how to get involved. So tell people how they can get involved.
So I've had this conversation with a lot of individuals in the last 48 hours because I've been getting phone calls, and well, outside of yesterday, because I had no access to any kind of telecommunication.
I was about to say, you ain't talking to nobody yesterday.
But between like Sunday, Monday, and today, the biggest conversation I've been having with people is like they've been inboxing me like, "Hey, I ain't a protester, but how can I help?" And this is what, pretty much what I said. Even in my interview I had earlier today at 3 o'clock on the business brief, you've got to figure out what you're good at and figure out how to implement that into the movement. Whether you're good at admin, whether you're good at cooking, whether you're good at babysitting, because the movement needs all those pieces to move. Prime example, when we were in Minneapolis, I'm gonna kind of kill two birds with one stone with this one. When we were in Minneapolis, you saw a lot of Black-owned business out there feeding the protesters, making sure they had water. You had people that had vans. They spray painted red crosses on their vans so people know they had medic vans out there. And the Black-owned businesses had the Black-owned businesses sign in their window. But when you come to Atlanta, see the difference with these Black-owned businesses in Atlanta, they're for the money. They're not for the progression. They're for the rich life of that new Black money that's here in Atlanta. See, if those businesses were out in front of their businesses, taking care of some of these protesters and giving them safe haven and feeding them and taking care of the community, half of the businesses that got quote unquote destroyed as a Black-owned business in Atlanta wouldn't have happened. Part two to that is it shows you who they're truly connected to and what community they're connected to. It definitely ain't the streets that's supporting them. So therefore, I always tell people, you have to find what you're good at. Find somebody that you can have a conversation with. Always ask. There's so many different people out there. Now, this is where I always tell people, don't be so quick to join an organization. Learn the history of the organization. Learn the ideology of the organization. Because for me, the reason why I never joined the organization, because off rip, you got to ask permission to do shit. I'm not asking permission to fight for my people. Some cases we can't cover that case. Oh, that case is too sticky. So, always be careful when you join an organization. Yeah, there are some that have been here a long time, but them organizations got a lot of baggage that you got to make sure you're willing to stand by.
But City, we still didn't answer the question though. It's like, I know it's a lot of organization, but a lot of people out there right now want to participate. They want to be active. So what what groups do you recommend?
Like, oh, well, like for myself, I have my own organization. Mine says I fight for my people. Key fact, I fight for my people. Ain't nothing before or after that. I know Shar, she has My Vote is Hip Hop. There's multiple different organizations. You got the NAACP, SCLC, Action something network. I forgot their name, Lord Jesus. It's so many different
Action Network.
Thank you. There's so many different organizations. The way we move, like we move a little bit more aggressive. We're a little bit more in the face. We push the envelope. And our focus my main focus is police brutality and police murdering people. Shar, she's a community advocate. She does police brutality. She does prison reform. She feeds the neighborhoods. So you got to figure out what it is that you want to do, and that'll draw you closer to what organizations you want to work with. Like there's some organization that just focus straight on prison reform. After what I experienced yesterday, I'm going to talk to my sis because now I have a different insight. And that's just like a lot of our culture. We really don't care about shit till it happens to us. I wasn't a big thing on prison reform. I didn't speak on it. But 24 hours, I learned so much, seen so much, and the conditions on how these inmates are treated. Guess who now wants to be a part of prison reform? Myself. So there's multiple organizations, and there's a lot of people that have information. So it's just like, I mean, when you want to find out how to fix a car, you Google it, YouTube it. So just Google, Instagram, like just ask, go on your Facebook. How did I get involved with civil rights? If you're in the right community, somebody's going to say, hey, they're going to tag somebody. Then it's up to that individual to have a communication dialogue after
that. Okay, so let me ask you this: how effective right now is the Black Lives Matter movement?
When you're saying Black Lives Matter, are you speaking as the movement a whole, or are you speaking of the organization?
I'm speaking as the movement.
It's super effective.
Speak on the organization.
I'm gonna be simple, real quick. You having a live video conference talking about it right now, right?
Right.
That's how effective it is. Because okay. I mean, it's just everybody's talking about it right now.
Okay, I got a few questions from a few viewers, so I'm gonna just go down the list. And I'm gonna just ask them, and y'all can answer them. Either one of y'all can answer them. Okay, why is ending racism so controversial? And why is it not at the forefront of everybody's agenda?
Why is ending racism so controversial? It affects it. That's such an open, vague question. I can answer on my view. Shar, you there?
I'm here. What was the question one more time?
Why is ending? Go ahead.
Why is ending racism so controversial? And why is it not in the forefront of everybody's agenda?
Why is it so important? Because at some
why
point,
is it so controversial?
Why is it so controversial? It's controversial. Right. It's controversial because, hold on one second. Let me turn on my video. It's controversial because right now you have a struggle for power. We are the only race of people in the world whose crimes against humanity committed by our oppressors have never been taken to the United Nations. We are the most powerful group of buying power and influence in the world, but we're enslaved. It's controversial because us being unslaved is tearing down Babylon. Right now, it's a power struggle between the elite and the wealthy, and the rich and middle class having control of the rest of us. So them losing control means them losing money, means their kids losing money. It's also a power struggle because right now, white people are one of the smallest populations in the world, but they're in charge and everybody knows that. And so their structure has been torn down. You know, it's the reasons why Harvey Weinstein was torn down. It's reasons why Cosby was torn down. It's the Rothschild and the 1%ers are not their legacies aren't as protected anymore. So they're doing what they can to be able to protect it. That's why it's controversial, because we're going against a beast that is invisible, and that they're acting as if it's not there. It's the elephant in the room.
Now let me ask you this, because I know this is gonna come up later on, not now, but probably at least probably a month or two down the line when we really start talking about what we want and what we put on the table, and that's reparations. Is this the time to ask for reparations?
Hell yeah, it's been a time to ask for reparations. And right now, I mean, honestly, like, look at what's going on. If they can give out, if they can come up with $5 trillion in 2 weeks, they can give reparations. If we can give over $50 billion to Jews every year, they can do some reparations. If we can get some fucking reparations to Kardashians, the Armenians, that shit ain't even happening on U.S. soil. If we can give money for all these things, why is it so hard to give reparations? It's not that it's hard. They don't want to, because they know if too many Black people get money, they can't control us.
I agree with that. Go ahead, City.
My sis be lit, dog. I'm borderline with the whole reparations conversation. And I'm gonna tell you why. I say that not the fact that we don't deserve it. I say it because we're not educated enough as a whole to work with it. Prime example.
To work for it, we did.
I said work with it, not for it. Work with it. Prime example. We were stuck in the house for 30 days, 45 days. They gave us $1,200. Everybody in line buying Jordans.
Don't say everybody. I made some investments.
And Walmart is
in the whole population. I'm not against it, but I would like it to be done in a way where, like, even if it's something so simple as you can't get your reparational payout until you finish A, B, C, D with economical development, financial.
I can agree with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like some
like
kind
the
of
NBA
financial.
players needing financial. It's just like the NBA players needing
we
financial.
gotta add
I agree
something
with
to
that.
like you know, like what some of the white parents do. You can't get this money till you get your degree. You get what I'm saying? Not saying it's got to be a degree, but you can't get this money until you put in enough work that you know when you get it, you're not gonna do a bunch of dumb shit. Like it's more than life than like right now, right before I got on this call, guess what? I was watching a movie called Joanna Man, right? The Joker was the best player in the game, lost everything. He lost his house, bless you. He lost his house and everything, but guess what he still had on his neck? A diamond chain and a diamond watch, because he didn't know how to manage his money. So that would be one thing that I think for our culture with reparations, it has to be some kind of, like, you've got to have something to go along with this before you get this check. You see everybody already looking for the stimulus check number 2 because, you know, granted, we haven't invested or put our money in the right way, but hypothetically, a lot of people are living check to check anyway. But if we had some kind of financial, economical development as a whole, not just the ones who know how to spend money, keep their money together, but make it somewhere within our communities where it's a normal conversation, knowing what credit does, knowing what credit is, I'll be all for it. Cut the checks. But all we would do is take that money and keep making the companies. All we would do is take that money that they give us and give it right back to them.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. But let me ask you this, Shaw, I got to come back to you because somebody asked me, they said, what's the, they said, what exactly is the problem with Paul Howard's record?
What?
Well, where do we begin? For starters, he does a lot of I'll get to it when I'm ready type of talk. He's promised that he would meet with the families, never met with them. He's promised that he would send, he's held case information for forever. He's allowed cases to sit on his desk for forever that he promised to prosecute. While he's been in office, not much has moved. Understand that he's at this position for 10 years. Most oftentimes when it's time for re-election, nobody runs against him.
And why is that?
because nobody, it's same thing why we be like, hey, why don't we have more black police officers? Nobody wants that position. On top of that, he's very connected. Like I'm being told that that's Dwight Howard uncle or something. Anyway, I have personally seen him push cases to the side, give excuses. He's given every excuse in the world and blames every person in the book outside of taking responsibility on his own. He's proven himself time after time again that he is not for the people. I don't know whose pockets he in, who's in his pockets or what, but he is not for us, and he's proven it time and time again to us. City, you want to give reasons why Paul Howard should not be elected again?
I'll just say one. I'll say one reason. Jimmy Atchison.
And explain that. You got to explain that. Like, I got people that don't know, so you got to educate them, City.
So Jimmy Atchison is a man, well, a young man, who was in a closet. Well, of course, he was being chased. There was a chase. He surrendered in a closet, on his knees, hands up. Former officer Sun Kim killed shot straight to the face. They opened the closet door. Jimmy was on his knees with his hands up, and Officer Sun Kim took the killer shot right to the face. Brain matter everywhere. Instead of prosecuting this guy, they allowed him to resign.
Gave him time to resign. Gave him time to make the decision.
So now he got his pension. He can still police anywhere that he wants to. And nothing was affected by him. Lives a regular life.
Is
he still policing right now?
No, he was forced to, he resigned from APD.
Oh, okay.
They gave, this what happened, X, and when we kept being out here in the streets, and then when the show was on and stuff, instead of firing him, they were like, we're going to give you, what did they give him, a week or 2 weeks? They gave him 1
week. They gave him 1 week.
They gave him 1 week to make a decision after killing Jimmy Atchison in the closet, unarmed, execution style, with his hands up. After that, they told him that we're going to give you the option. Either you can resign and keep your pension, or you can be fired. You have 1 week. How does he get an option? How he got all these options? But see, when you dig further, I did some research, and it looks as if the same, now I could be wrong, but it's a guy with the exact same name as him, that looks exactly like him, that's 20, 30 years older, that is the Philippine Consulate of America in former military and government. He worked with Kasim Reed and everybody. So the guy that looks as if he's his father is heavily connected, which would make sense on why you would be able to shoot someone like that and get away with it. That's the problem. That's why, this system needs to be torn down, because it's built off racism and privilege. And like Dr. Claude Anderson said, it's a race war to see who's going to win and who's the fastest and who's the best. And we never had a chance in hell.
But you keep saying race war, but Paul Howard is black.
Just because you're black doesn't mean you can't be a part of the race war.
I mean, explain that.
The race war is not, but the race war is not secluded to just police brutality. It's not secluded to just the judges. It is the entire system. It's the Constitution saying that we're not a human. It's the Constitution saying that you're not a slave, but you're not a whole human. But if you do anything, but you got rights. But if you do anything wrong, right now in the Constitution, when you get taken to jail, you are a prisoner of this corporation. The United States is a business. So it's deeper than just that one portion. I think they're looking at it too small, and that's the thing. You have to remember that they have been programming us through music, through religion, through TV, through the commercials, through the movies, through the things that we eat. We get even in the groceries, we get the last of the fruit. Even where we stay, y'all, when they first zoned where everybody was going to be, do y'all know that most of the projects in black neighborhoods is all on top of ground that has bad soiling?
Wow. In
most
Atlanta?
of the places where after we tilled this ground for all those hundreds of years, that when they did the redlining and the original Jim Crowing and stuff, it systematically and historically, if you look at the type of lands that the Black communities were forced to be a part of, that was the lowest producing soil. That was areas where it was, dumps put in. Right now, everybody be going out to Lake Lanier, going out there to be on a yacht and chill on top of our fucking ancestors. When it wasn't enough water for the people in Atlanta and these country people out all across Georgia, they flooded an entire town in order for us to have a beach and have water. Stone Mountain is a sacred fucking geode. Stone Mountain is sacred ground. That entire mountain is a healing stone that they turned around and started lynching everybody in. The KKK took it because that entire, y'all know how we're stones and stuff, right?
Right.
Stone Mountain, the entire mountain in that area, y'all, is sacred healing ground. So how much of a menace to society can you be to take healing ground and make it a monument to slavery? Y'all don't understand how deep
But a lot of people don't even,
racism is.
but a lot of people that moved into Atlanta, they don't know that Stone Mountain was the headquarters for the KKK.
People that live here don't know that. People that grew up here don't know that.
For years. I mean, like I remember even living out here in the 80s, like you didn't go to Stone Mountain after 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
I've been told that by many people that you did not cross over that bridge. And the fact that it's KKK generals plastered on there, y'all, legally that's not even their territory. But the reason why this system needs to be eradicated is because the Stockholm syndrome and the Willie Lynch syndrome is so deep that some Black people do not want things to change because they're so scared that it's not possible for change to happen. Because they've gotten conditioned to be so used to what's going on that they don't see a problem with it because they've gotten comfortable suffering in silence.
So do you see that happening here in Atlanta? I mean, do you feel like, because in Atlanta we do feel comfortable. We've been here for a while. Things, when you go, because I always say this, I've been to other cities, so I know how it is here in Atlanta opposed to how it is in Detroit for Black people. You know what I'm saying? So have we gotten to the point where we just comfortable here?
Atlanta's been comfortable.
Yep.
And it makes it worse because, don't get me wrong, there's a nice, very successful Black population in Atlanta. But when you get to a certain level of money and you want to enjoy your money being Black in Atlanta, there's certain hands you got to shake. And when you shake those hands, there's certain debt that you're owed to. And that's an eternity debt that you got to deal with here in Atlanta, given your economical bracket.
Explain that, because I'm trying to see where you're going. Explain
the more money you make in Atlanta as a Black individual or Black-owned business, not every, I'm just speaking in general whole, they all rub shoulders. They bump hands and shake hands with certain individuals to keep that money going. Within that, you have to turn your cheek and not pay attention to certain things to stay at that certain status quo here in Atlanta. It's the new Black money thing that goes on, and it's heavy, it's strong. And if it's an issue that gets too strong, they start inviting, that's when they start using their puppets to have conversations, to have press conferences and things of that nature to keep that lower class at the bottom who don't understand it.
Because I made this statement like early, and this happened before, they had the press conference and all that shit. I was just like, I just want to hear regular people from the community speak, opposed to the same people that, every time something happened, we see the same people. And I wasn't pointing no fingers at no particular person, Al Sharpton or nobody. I just want to see the people that's ground level, that's really dealing with that shit, speak on what's going on. You get what I'm saying? But every time we get to that situation, we dealing with the latest rapper that's hot or whoever's at the moment, the puppet that they want to use. You get what I'm saying?
Or reverse it. Why she just won't come talk to us in the streets?
And that was my other question. And I seen that, and tell me how y'all feel about that. Like a lot of people said that, like when Killer Mike and T.I., and Keisha was giving that speech, they should have been out in the street giving that speech to the people.
And not talking at them, talking with them.
Okay, when you say that, you meaning?
Don't demean them when you talk. Don't talk at individuals. You're nobody, like you're not nobody's mama out here. You got your own kids. Talk with us. Come be compassionate. Figure out what it is that we really want. Stop avoiding us. You know what I mean? So it's just one of them things like I can speak for myself, and I'm almost 3 years. I've waited to have a conversation with Keisha before I even, or 2 years before I got to this point. And I'm still willing to have a regular old conversation.
Wait. Let me say this, not to interrupt, but I have to be honest, because we blast the shit out of Keisha a lot.
Before we got to that point, before we got to that point, we were patient.
We have been begging her. We took all the proper procedures. We did the emailing. We did the proper requests. We went to the office. We did every step by the book that it says. So I do hate that it took for a public outcry for it to happen, but I can say that I did meet with her office today.
Okay.
See, the key word, you met with her office or you met with her?
Right.
I met with her director of entertainment for her director of entertainment to take our concerns to her.
But here's the thing though, Sean.
Wait. Let me finish. For us to come back and listen, for us to come back and have a meeting with the mayor so we can go from there. Now, if they don't keep their word and do what they said they're going to do, we're going to go right back to what we do.
But guess what?
But why
if you were going in there with the, if you were going in there with the LGBTQI ABCDEFG problem, you would have met directly with the mayor.
But let me ask you this: why is it so different? I mean, is it what you want to talk to her about that she's avoiding, or is it just that she don't have the time to meet with you?
Our problem is her problem.
She got time. Everybody got time right now. Everybody got time. When that LGBTQ situation happened, they shut that shit down in 2 days. So it's possible. The reason why those officers got fired, let me tell y'all some insight that I learned today. The reason why them officers got fired so fast, it wasn't just because of the video that was put out there. That boy's family is connected. That situation happened at 10, 11 o'clock, 2 hours after it hit CNN.
And it was live on TV.
But here's the thing. It wasn't about it being live on TV. The boy's godparent or the mother's best friend or something is very, very powerful and high up to the point where she got the mayor's right hand number and called her at 2 o'clock in the morning. They called the mayor at 2 o'clock in the morning. So then it was other phone calls made at 3, and then by 5 a.m. the mayor and her team and Chief Shields was on the phone strategizing, and they was at the station at the precinct by 7 a.m. watching the videos for the next 6 hours before they fired the officer. Now, do I think that the mayor would have cared if she didn't get a personal phone call from a damn near billionaire? Yeah, but do I think that she would have moved that quick? Hell no.
Wow. So
this is intel from her people.
So is it hard to get a meeting with Keisha? I mean, she seems like she's the people, like she's for the people.
It's very hard to get a meeting with her. As a matter of fact, it's so hard, her calendar is not available.
Wow.
And that's exactly what we talked to them about today, is that we need more accountability and we need more access to the mayor. We should not have to do all of this to get in touch with her, and we shouldn't even have to meet with her people that work for her. We should be able to meet with the mayor. That was one of the things that we proposed. Let me be clear. We may have met face to face, but we had demand. That was a demand for them to do these things. There was no ask. This wasn't a friendly business meeting. It wasn't always pretty. They felt very offended, and they have felt offended because you've been wronged. It wasn't just us calling them out. Portia Williams from Real Housewives was calling them out. Queen Naja was calling them out. Myself, you had Mr. HBCU and Mr. Spellman calling them out. Mary Pat Hector of National Action Network calling them out. I mean, you know, so this, listen, if we don't, let me tell y'all where we're at right now. Where we're at is here. Everybody's mad at Kemp, but the mayor consented to the National Guard going out there. It was actually her recommendation, but he called her to tell her that he thinks that it's pretty much, she didn't have a choice, but she had a choice, but she didn't have a choice, but she kind of spoke too soon when she was being emotional, and she was being emotional because she knew the National Guard was about to be deployed, and she was trying to warn us from what they were saying, but in code. And I let them know, well, it didn't sound like she was trying to warn us. It sounded like she was on the police and National Guard side, and she was reprimanding and scolding protesters, and that she's okay with deploying 500 National Guard out there. When in reality, they were pretty much saying that when Kemp had already made the decision, he just pretty much ran it by her, and it was going to happen whether she wanted to or not, because he's the fucking governor. And you know, I do believe there's some truth to that. At the same time, I think it may have went different if she had have declined it. And I think that it's important for these facts to be out there, because I didn't know that she consented to it or was a part of it until literally earlier today. This is why, like City said, we have to research. I found the actual paperwork that it was signed off on.
Wow. So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this. Like when you look at Keisha now after this whole ordeal is over with, how or what do you think her re-election goes at this point?
I told her people today, if her ass want to get back in that spot, she better get her ass back out there and say something to be on our side, just like how you said all that bullshit to be on their side. Because the consensus is right now that if it was during the Civil War time, she would have sent the National Guard on Martin Luther King. It's looking, the consensus with everybody is like, if we were during the original, civil rights movement, she would have sent the National Guard out there on Malcolm. So she needs to pick a fucking side. We were excited to have a mayor named Keisha. She needs to fucking act like it.
She just has a suntan.
So you feel like a lot of the decisions that were made, like, but Killer Mike and T.I. is on the transition team. So what type of input do they make on the decisions that's made?
I'm gonna ask you, killing me right now. Don't set us up for the okie doke questions. Ask you. I'm
gonna tell the truth. Nope, I don't care.
Come on,
I told it to his face. Nope, I told him to his face.
Yo, I gotta ask, because you know everybody want to know.
I don't care. Let me answer. Because I told Tip to his face. Right now, I'm disappointed in you and Killer Mike, because y'all are being liaisons for the mayor to the fucking hip-hop community, when you're supposed to be liaisons for the hip-hop community to the fucking mayor.
Facts.
I told T.I. that to his face, so I don't feel any type of way. And he knows how I felt about him before yesterday, so it's not a secret. So if he watches this, he's gonna laugh.
Well, City, I gotta ask, man. Everybody want to know what type of input they making on the decisions that's happening.
Say this.
I mean, people want to know.
I'll say this. See, what happens is what Killer Mike and T.I. did is the reason why people are still destroying shit. I'm gonna tell you why. On one end, you got Killer Mike telling you to be calm, be cautious, don't tear up nothing. But then he got a T-shirt on that says "Kill your master." Right? Then you got Tip. You got Tip on the other hand telling you to be calm, be cautious. But then he's making posts like, we got to move like Tupac did when he shot the police in Atlanta. So when you're sending those kind of mixed signals to kids who really already barely got this much guidance, what do you think is going to happen? So it goes back to like Shar said, it's time for them to start putting real people that's dealing with these real issues to have these real conversations. Not being funny, T.I.'s lifestyle isn't dealing with the shit we deal with. Killer Mike lifestyle doesn't deal with the shit that we deal with.
But they come from it. So, you know, you can't look past that.
That's what makes it worse. They come from it, but don't acknowledge it.
But how can you say they don't acknowledge it when they own, like Keisha said, they own a lot of the properties on the west side?
It's bullshit. Do your research. Pull some deeds. I know big time real estate people. They're not booming the west side like that, the way they presented that. Negative.
Okay.
Y'all know what's funny? I heard that
Negative.
Killer Mike's spot got vandalized. I mean, that ain't funny. But I heard that his spot got vandalized.
That's not funny.
That's not funny.
Yo, Shaw,
but it's ironic. It's ironic because he was talking shit.
That's a very bold
Let me
statement.
tell y'all, influencers and entertainers is something right now. Rappers, if you ain't on the side of the people, shut the fuck up. Desi Banks tried to speak out against the rioters and looters who are actual plants. That's another thing. Do y'all research. It's pallets of bricks that have been put around the hoods all around the nation. And guess what? In the white neighborhoods right next to it, they cut off the exit. So they're allowing people to vandalize it. So they're pulling the resources out the black neighborhoods again. But anyway, what I was about to say is that, you know, damn, shit, I forgot.
So let me go to this other question right quick. So because I see you got the Black Lives Matter in the background, right? So a lot of people are saying that George Soros is funding the Black Lives Matter organization, not the movement, but the organization. How does that fare with the protests right now? And they're saying he's also paying for the agitators.
I'll tell you this right now. I have some very dope right-hand comrades that are affiliated with Black Lives Matter. They've added different, you know, letters to it, whether it's Greater Atlanta or Greater New York. I've done some serious work with some of these individuals. I have a few reserves about it. It'll be a huge announcement made on Sunday that'll dead all that. But it's that's why I was gonna say you need to research what organization you support and stand. That question answered the question prior to. Like you got to research these organizations, and you know, sometimes it's not what it all deemed to be. Like, you know, a lot of people don't even know NAACP was founded about for white people.
Right. That came out in the last few years.
But that's old news. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to research the organization.
Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about how big yesterday was and how influential, and what did yesterday Blackout Tuesday mean as far as the movement?
I was blacked out for real.
You took a day off, I see.
Yeah, I had a day off. But from what I heard, it forced people, you know, social media has been at a bigger scale. It's an escape from normal lifestyle. You know what I mean? And that's where people get to just live dreams, perpetrate dreams, paint dreams, and look at other dreams. And yesterday in the day, it was effective because you couldn't get away from it. You were forced to feel how we feel every day. If you felt uncomfortable, good. If you felt sick and tired of seeing black boxes, good. If you got sick of just seeing all the talk about it, good, because we're sick of talking. We're sick of making hashtags. So it was dope because it forced everybody, everywhere, to swallow that.
I liked it in the beginning when it first started, but then I just noticed, like, as far as the posting, as far as what was happening out in the street and what was going on, just stopped for a minute though.
What you mean?
And like, you know, like all the posts as far as like what was going on in different cities and shit like that, because everybody kind of just blacked out for a minute. Nobody posts for a minute. And then when they start saying change it up, and now you can post as long as you posting for the movement. You get what I'm saying? You can continue to post. So people, and that's when people start back posting what was going on in the streets, what was going on in Houston, what was going on in different places. because I think a lot of people had a misconception of what the blackout meant. Was like, after we post the blackout, do we post after that, or we don't post nothing at all? You get what I'm saying?
Got you.
So I think it was a lot of. I think it was great yesterday, but I think it was a lot of confusion because a lot of people were calling me going, so when I post my blackout, do I not post the rest of the day, or can I post after that? You get what I'm saying?
Got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely an understandable view on that situation.
Because and that's why I say it goes back to when I tell you people want to get involved. It ain't that people, people just sitting back and going, yo, I don't want to participate. I don't want to go out there. A lot of time it's a disconnect on the communication part, on our part, as far as letting people know how they can get involved and how they can become activists, as far as even coming out and doing things. You get what I'm saying?
Yo, X, that's in the movement period. So I totally agree with you on that. The lack of communication and organization.
Because a lot of people want to come out there and be a part of it. If it's your organization or if it's Charles' organization, people want to come and be a part of something. I know that from running coalition. People like to be a part of things. So I know when I got a lot of calls, people were calling like, yo, man, how can I be, if we go down there and protest, who are we, how do we be a part of it for real, opposed to just being somebody just standing around?
And I tell you like this, when we went out on Sunday, right? Sunday was one of the first like true official, I'm not saying there was no peaceful protest prior to, so let me word this the correct way. But Sunday, it was few less arrests, few less police confrontations, because Shar and I stood out there as long as we could right before curfew to make sure there was some organization. See, what happened and what's happening is you have a bunch of kids running around without guidance, direction, organization. The OGs in this game, the civil rights and the old guard and civil rights leaders and the community organizers are scared to attach themselves to kids, but they sit back and they're criticizing, but they don't want to help guide or direct. Like I said, we did that Sunday. We even did it on Monday. Monday was a fugazi situation that happened on Monday. That was just we went to the highway. Nonetheless, we stopped. But that was just one of the things where it's been chill. You know what I mean? It definitely ain't how it was on Friday. Atlanta ain't seeing that no more. And nor are they seeing, you know what I'm saying? So it's all about communication and people really being out there directing and helping these folks. Prime example, on Sunday night when we was walking away, this dude black kid picked up some rocks. We stopped and missed him. He said, yo, it ain't that kind of party. He said, oh, we ain't doing that? Nah, we're not doing that. He dropped the rocks and kept walking. You see what I'm saying?
That would have went totally different if we were not there. And also another thing, we saved them from being boxed in by the National Guard and police, because that's how they've been boxing in people, then arresting them. And these kids are out there with no bullhorns, no communication. So they're watching from an aerial, so the police are trapping them from an aerial view. And from the ground, it doesn't look like you're trapped in, but from an aerial view, when you got military ATVs lined up on this street, a whole row of guards of police on this part, a whole row of guards of National Guard on this part, and then another row of ATVs, only an older activist is going to start looking. Me and City was ready to go because we already knew what time it was. You know what made us stay? I'm looking around. We seen like 50 officers get deployed to go over there to do more. I'm like, we can't go. We were leaving. And the crowd started coming behind us. So we was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go. And we ended up meeting up with another group, but they did everything they could for those people not to meet up. So understand, y'all, it's strength in numbers. This is why we have to keep going as strong as possible and stay together and unify, because they're only boxing in and arresting people when it's only 100 to 200 people. They can't do shit when it's thousands and thousands. Period.
So we talked about a lot, and I know, I only want to do this for about an hour, but I wanted to touch on a lot of things. Now I got to ask you the big question: what's the solution, and how do we solve a lot of these things? How do we get to a place to where we get back to some normalcy?
There was something that I know Hawk and some other activists up there are working on. It's called the I Can't Breathe Act. And pretty much what I'm saying is we have to really force and implement the proper legislation for our areas. I know a lot of people are so focused on Donald Trump and the presidency thing. We got to focus on our local issues. We have to vote local. You don't know who's on the ballot. Ask, research. Like the era of not knowing. Oh, I didn't know that. It's a bunch of bullshit. I don't even let people use that excuse anymore. Oh, I didn't even know we could. Come on, nigga. Like, you can learn the lyrics to a song in 30 minutes. You can't learn to figure out who's on the ballot. So we really got to focus on what affects our local areas. Implementation of Obama's 21st Century Policing Initiative. That's something that has to stop being talked about and being fully implemented into legislation. And then I think the community needs to sit down with other community advisors and advocates to figure out what needs to change. Every community is different. Like, what we may be dealing with here, Atlanta may not be dealing with. What Sandy Springs is dealing with, Gwinnett County may not be dealing with. So it needs to be something within that area where everybody sits down as a collective and figure out priority, what needs to be attacked, and not separate, because once you start dividing, then now you're all fighting for different. Like, we're all fighting for the same cause. So every leader of each community, whether it's Gwinnett, Alpharetta, Dunwoody, like all of them, should just come sit down in a big town hall. We can get our ass together for Super Bowl. We can do it for barbecues. Why can't we do it for progression? And we all sit down, get your points out. Some people may say stuff people don't like. That just comes with it. But once we sit down and get all this stuff down as a collective, then we can say, okay, well, let's focus on this, and let's focus on this, and let's focus on this. And the next thing you know, those bullet points, things are starting to get accomplished. We're not just all, yeah, well, I want to focus on police. Well, I don't want to focus on black on black crime. Well, I want to focus on the drugs. Like, you have to put all that shit together, make a bullet, and just hit it one. If a million people hit one thing at a time, what do you think the accuracy is on that?
Right.
So, I mean, that's the key solution that I see and how I feel.
All right. Shaw, where you at, baby?
Sorry.
You know I gotta get you on fire tonight.
I was actually
you're on fire tonight. You got to leave us on fire.
Listen, I was actually just talking to Tip because I sent him a video of police officers trapping some protesters under a goddamn bridge. Honestly, y'all don't want to hear my solution, because I say fuck that Republican and Democrat, all of that shit, and we need our own party. But I know y'all ain't ready for that.
I've been saying that shit.
I'm on some Malcolm X shit, but I feel like the first thing we need to do is just start building neighborhood coalitions, and we need to start making sure that we only do business with Black people, and we need to start making sure that we support each other in whatever we're doing. And if we have disagreements, or you know what I'm saying, like, we need to handle that amongst us. You know what I'm saying? What we're doing right now, how we're working with the gathering spot and TIP and all of this different stuff. All I know is right now, Black people are coming together more than I've ever seen them before. And we are building the bridges and coalitions that we need for us to function on our own as a people. We literally just, I can't even talk about everything that we're doing, but just know this protest on Saturday, let me say this. The HBCU march that they did last week, they put out that flyer at 11 a.m. thinking they was going to get a few hundred college kids, forgetting that college kids from all over the world are back home, and they had 20,000 people out there, and the flyer was put out that day. They didn't have no help from no main organizers. We helping them do this.
Wow.
We helping them run this. And we're also working with activists that been out here since the Rodney King protest. We're working with activists that helped get the ML King Day here. So understand, it has never been a time where activists have been working all across the country like this since the first civil rights movement. But this one is different because we are already at a breaking point. Now white people are mad. White people mad too. You know what I'm saying? So now we're at a place where we can tip the scales whatever way we want to. And if I can say any one last thing, like I don't know if it has come across right or if it has made its point across at all, but I don't like voting but we do need to make sure that we get these judges up out of there and put these people in place that we need in there to make the decisions and charges and calls that we need them to make. We need to get Paul Howard ass up out of there. So Tuesday, we need to get Paul Howard ass up out of there. And last but not least, go and you can't even get a permit right now, but you can buy a gun from a legally armed person that has a gun permit. You can buy a gun from a person that has a gun permit. Everybody needs to be protecting themselves. You know what I'm saying? And we out here don't be scared going into these streets. Understand that we are stronger than them, and they know it, and they are losing their power. And understand that the civil rights movement, the civil rights legislation and laws were changed after they were in the streets for 6 days. We on day 5.
So how many more we got, baby?
Whatever we need. And I don't care if y'all burn this bitch down. Just don't burn no black-owned business. I ain't encouraging violence, but I'm saying I don't care about none of that shit downtown. And my friend said, it's just in case if you missed it, go hit up Sally Mae.
I'll keep it simple. We have 400 years of slavery. So what's wrong with 400 years of destruction?
I feel you, man. But like I'm gonna end on that note, man. That's a good note to end on, man. Like I say, thank y'all for taking time out tonight. Charlotte, baby, you was on fire. They talking about you online right now.
I love y'all. Keep going.
City, you know it's all love.
Streets, and if you get arrested, we will bail your ass out. Send me Tip always and put up 10 racks on my nonprofit.
Oh yeah,
What's up?
Hold up. Before we go, we gotta talk about the bail thing. You gotta talk about that.
We both got bail organizations. So we letting y'all know because they on some bullshit. They arresting people for no reason. So we're fighting to get all those charges dropped. We also listen, we doing a lot of work behind the scenes. We doing a lot of work behind the scenes, but just know we got some money. So if they try you, we gonna get your ass out. We coming with it. Okay? With it. Somebody put some money behind me now. I've been doing all this shit out of my pocket. I'm talking real cocky now. If they put your ass in there, we gonna get you out. We gonna get you out. What's
That's right,
up?
baby. That's what's up. Hey, with that being said, hey man, I want to thank y'all for making my show the shit tonight, man. And hey, thank you for taking the time, and God bless y'all, man. All right.
All right, man. 100.
All right, 100. Hey, call me too, man. Let me know what's going on.
Got you.
I got you. Appreciate you, X.
All right, it's all good.